Hi there, Coldwell Banker Distinctive Properties. It's not just me and my husband that turned our birthdays in April. It's also Colorado's Fair Housing Act. It turned 60 on April 10th. Gosh, I remember when I was 60. Anyway, Colorado Fair Housing is so important. Pardon me, Colorado became the first state in the nation to pass fair housing laws. Then, 60 years later, Colorado fair housing laws prohibit discrimination based on disability, race, creed, color, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, marital status, familial status, religion, national origin, or ancestry. Colorado Civil Rights Division is collaborating with DORA, Division of Real Estate, to help the consumers and housing providers to take five and get wise and understand the applicability of fair housing laws, identify common issues related to fair housing, and explain the rights and responsibilities of the parties involved in housing transactions when it comes to fair housing. Over the next year, the Colorado Division of Real Estate will be reaching across the state to discuss fair housing laws and how they affect the Colorado consumers and housing providers. Take a minute and figure out what you want to know about. One hot subject is emotional support animals and therapy animals. How many of our places have no pets laws? You better find out about emotional support animals. How about reasonable modifications, in other words, physical alterations to a property, a wheelchair ramp, accessible ramps, things like that to get into a property. Familial status as a protected class, big item in discrimination. You have to worry about discriminatory advertising. I can't tell you how many ads I see both in MLS and in newspapers about great place for a family or wonderful family neighborhood. You can't do that. And then the last is parking as an accommodation for a disability, a designated parking space for a handicapped person. The the Colorado Civil Rights Division is a division of DORA tasked with the enforcement of Colorado Anti-Discrimination Act. This prohibits discrimination in employee housing and places of public accommodation. If you're involved in the sale, rental, transfer, or lease of any building, structure, vacant land, or part thereof, then you are likely subject to Colorado's fair housing laws. The exemption to Colorado fair housing laws is very narrow. They are not applicable to rooms offered for lease or for rent within a single family home, which is maintained and occupied by the owner. Therefore, Colorado fair housing laws are applicable to anyone from a real estate broker to an HOA board member, which I am, a community association manager, or an apartment leasing officer. The key step in understanding fair housing is, as a concept, is to understand the relevant terms as defined by the Colorado Civil Rights and used by the Colorado Real Estate Commission. To get familiar with these definitions and acronyms, go to the DORA website and click on the civil rights and discriminatory areas. Very important, people. We're going to get nailed. Fair housing is a hot subject right now, especially with disabilities and with the support animals and with just other issues out there with the properties being forced to put in handicap accessible and so on. That's my tip for this week. I know it's a little boring, but it's important. Colorado Fair Housing Act is 60 years old. Happy birthday!